Good day. My name is Helen John. I have been a community mobilizer and influencer for the past 16 years, working on diverse projects, including USAID funded projects and other similar projects. Congratulations and welcome to the year 2022 International Youth Day. Today, I would want to talk about a very important topic that I've worked on and I have seen it work. So what I'm going to be presenting today is based on experience of what I've been doing over the years. And I think that this is a very good skill to the youth in particular, and then to the community in general. So, on this year's International Youth Day, I would want to share some of my experience in community mobilization and, of course, what the youth can do to bring about the needed change in their various communities. I am going to be talking about an approach in community mobilization that has worked. So like I said, it's based on experience. I have tried it, I have tested it, and I have seen it work. And I want to share it with others on this year's International Youth Day. So I am going to be talking about community mobilization. So what is community mobilization? First, community mobilization is the ability of the community to look at their problems and take action. And today I am talking to the youth in particular because youth can be very, very good and excellent community mobilizers and influencers. Of course, like we all know, we used to say that the youth are the leaders of tomorrow. So imagine youth beginning to take action today. When they reach tomorrow, I'm sure that they will do greater things. So I'm going to be sharing an approach that has worked. Like I said, I have tried on several projects and I've seen it work. So this approach is called the Community Action Cycle, otherwise known as CAC. So it's a very simple approach, and it is an approach that seeks to encourage the community to look at their problems and come up with local solutions, contextual solutions to their problems. And of course, youth are better placed to act as mobilizers when it comes to community mobilization. Now, community mobilization is not an end in itself, but it's a means to an end. So, the goal of any community mobilization is to bring about development or to bring about positive change. Now, what are some of the skills that the youth needs to have in order for them to be good community mobilizers? So one of the skills they must have is negotiation skills, because sometimes if you don't have good negotiation skills, your dream of mobilizing community to take action and to bring about the changes they seek to see might just die at its infancy. So, as a community mobilizer or a community influencer, you must have good negotiation skills. The second skills you must have as a community mobilizer is that you must be able to communicate your ideas, communicate what you want to do in a very simple and understandable way. There is no way the community will take action or will follow to take action if they don't understand the goal of what you want to do. So the third skill I want to talk about is you must be able to possess leadership skill. Don't forget, you are now the mobilizer. You want to influence, you want to bring about change. So you must have a strong leadership skill. The other skill you must have is, in the course of mobilizing the community to take action, to bring about development, problems will arise. And so you must arm yourself with problem-solving skills. So, having mentioned some of the skills that you need to possess in order to mobilize the community to take action, I would want to talk about the community action cycle approach. So, like the name implies, it's a cycle. So it starts and then there is no end to it. So when I say there is no end, it goes round, and once you start, it follows this phase, and then it comes round again, and on it goes. So the first step in the community action cycle is prepare to mobilize. So there are 7 steps in the community action cycle. The first step is prepare to mobilize. And so, as a good mobilizer, you must be able to look at the community, and sometimes it might not be your community, it might be another community. So you must be able to identify what are the needs of the community that you want them to take action on. And when you are preparing to mobilize, you're forming a critical mass. You're looking for people that have the same vision as you are, as you have. And then you're also looking at who are the key stakeholders that can make things happen. So all these happen at the preparation stage. Now, having identified your problems or the problem of the community, you want them to take action. Having identified who are the key stakeholders, having identified who are the other people you can actually work with for the progress or for the success of your goal, you now move to the second phase, which is organizing the community for action. Don't forget, you are mobilizing the community. So it is not the job that is going to be done solely by you alone. So you must mobilize the community to buy into what you want to achieve so that together you can take action. Remember, the community action cycle is an approach that allows the community to identify their problems together, and then they come up with innovative local solutions to solving their own problems. So, having mobilized the community for action or to take action, the third phase in the community action cycle is exploring the issues and set priorities. Now, like I have said, there are so many The goal of any community mobilization is to bring about community development. So you must be ready to explore the issues together with the community. Sometimes, as a good mobilizer, you might be thinking of a problem as a problem. But if the community do not see that as a problem, you can be sure that they might not be able to take, or they might not be willing to take action because they don't see it as a problem. You are the only one seeing it as a problem. And don't forget, the goal of any community mobilization is to bring about needed positive change or to bring about development. So at this stage, you are exploring the issues and then you're setting priorities. Now, at this stage, it is where you hold community dialogues. It is where you hold community meetings, with various stakeholders, in the community. Now, at this stage also, you identify the felt needs and then together with the community, see how those problems can be solved. Now, having explored the issues, in every community, there are different issues. So you must be able to set priorities. So even though we have different priorities or we have different needs, what are our priorities or what do we want to do first? So you must be able to set priority. So at this stage of exploring and setting priorities, you must be able to set the priorities of the community right. So if they don't see that as a problem, or they see it as a problem but they don't see it as a priority, they might not be able to buy into the cause of what you want to do. So the fourth phase, after exploring the issues and setting priorities, you now go on to plan together. Remember, we said it is community mobilization. So it's all about the community. So you must be able to plan together with the community. Let them know that, of course, this is our problem. Let them own the problem. Let them plan, for the problems or how they intend to solve these problems. So at this planning stage is where you're talking about, okay, these are our problems, these are our priorities. What other things do we need to get this problem solved? Do we have all it takes within the community, or do we have to liaise, or do we have to look elsewhere in order for us to solve our problems? So you're planning together. And at this stage, you can also sit together with the community and draw an action plan. Action plan has resources, identifying the problem, the resources that are needed, the time that you want to implement that action, and all that. Now, that is the planning stage. Having planned together with the community, you move to the next stage. And the next stage is acting together. Remember, it's community mobilization. So whatsoever thing you're doing it with the community. So at this stage, it involves the actual implementation of your plans. So for instance, in a community, there are diverse problems. For instance, our problem is education. Our problem is water. Our problem is lack of representation, maybe at the local or at the national level. So you must sit down and prioritize. You must sit down and plan together. And at this stage, you are going into the activities. So what do we need to do? So you are doing it. That is the acting together. So not just planning together, you must be able to implement your plan. So at this stage of acting together, you are implementing your plans in order to see your objectives being achieved. Now, after acting together, you have set time for yourselves. You must be able to evaluate your successes or otherwise. Of course, after planning, after acting together, there are times that plans do not go the way we want. And so at this evaluation stage, you're looking at what are strategies. Has it actually worked? The strategies, the method we have taken to solve a particular problem, has it actually worked? So at this stage, you're reviewing your activities, you're reviewing your approaches, you're reviewing everything you have set out to do to really ascertain whether you have made progress or whether you're making progress or not. And at this stage, if you're not making progress, you have you have the leverage or the liberty to change your approaches so that you'll be able to achieve your objectives. Now, the last stage is prepare to scale up. So in this scaling up stage is you have planned together, you have implemented together, you have evaluated your activities together. Now there are some of your strategies that have worked and you want to scale it up to a higher scale. So at this stage, you prepare to scale up some of your proven approaches. So like I have said, I have seen this approach worked. I have tried it on so many projects and it has given us a very good result. Now I just want to give example with one of the projects that we implemented, an education project where the communities came together. They identified their problems. One of their problems is their children were not going to school. And so they sat together, they identified, they prioritized education, and they were able to come up with what options do we have for our children to go to school. So they came up with the option of non-formal education. So the community did not wait for the government to build schools for them. Instead, they were able to donate spaces in their homes, in order for them to create school for their children. And they were able to identify someone that would teach their children, and they used the curriculum for non-formal education. And after some time, after 9 months, it was an accelerated learning, and after 9 months, some of these children were mainstreamed into a formal school to continue with their education. And when they saw that it actually worked, they scaled it up, not just to one class, they scaled it up to additional classes. And that way, their children were able to access education. So this community action cycle approach can be applied to diverse areas. It can be applied in the area of health. It can be applied to education. It can be applied to water and sanitation It can be applied in so many areas, gender issues. So, having said that, these are the 7 stages that are involved in the community action cycle. Now, some of the success factors is that you must be able to develop the trust of the community to work together. So if the community do not see that as a need, there is no way, they will be willing to come together, to mobilize resources together to work for their common good. So the other success factor is that you must encourage, participation, and you must be able to create linkages, because going through the 7 steps, sometimes you might not be able to do it all alone. Sometimes you might need somebody outside that will assist to do 1 or 2 things. But the most important thing is that the community see it as their problem, they are willing to take action together, and they are willing to succeed together. Now, if you're able to do that, you are on your way to sure success in community mobilization. So I want to encourage you, the youth, that you have great strength, you have great potentials, and you have all it takes, to mobilize your community. We have seen, a lot of projects that youth came together, especially community development project. Community development project is, most times, they are not done by the elderly, they are done by the youth. So I want to challenge the youth that this year, International Youth Day, you can organize yourself. You can take action to bring about the needed change in your community. Thank you for your time, and thank you for listening.